Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I am back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. I am so excited to bring you my guest today. This was one of my big five for 2025, was to ask Cathe Friedrich to be on my podcast. In my mind, she is a celebrity. Well, not in my mind, she's a celebrity. She is a celebrity. She is famous in this industry for very good reason. One of the things that I respect most about Cathe is her authenticity and her longevity. She has been in the fitness business career for over 35 years. And she's still lit up and passionate. She's still engaged with her community. She still loves what she does. She's still teaching people in person. She is everything that I ever wanted to be and then some. She's creative. She's incredibly fit. I have used her videos, just little clips for years. Like if I just need like a new idea or like a new sequence, I'm like, let me go onto Cathe's Instagram and she'll just have like one little video. I'm like, oh, I'm doing that. That's so good. That's so good. And I would take her programming and put it in. I hope that's okay, Cathe. I would put it into mine. And so I first was introduced to Cathe in graduate school. My roommate, Beth, who I've talked about on this podcast before, she was a home fitness person. I was never a home fitness person, but my roommate, Beth, was, and she had her videos, and Cathe was one of her favorites. So I would come in, and I remember looking in the room, and I'd watch her doing these videos. And to be in person with her now is a little surreal for me. But I want to let Cathe introduce herself to you. I know she's very humble, but please believe me when I say that she is one of the most iconic people in the fitness industry.
Oh my goodness, Kelly, thank you so much. That's such a beautiful introduction, and I'm humbled. Thank you for having me on your show. This is so much fun. I just feel like going back and forth with you and just having fun and nothing formal here. Let's just go for it, right?
I love it. Absolutely.
So you had asked how I got started in this industry, and the funny thing is like I kind of like came out of the womb active. I
Yep.
even said, it's one of those things where I started probably 4 years old, I think it was, with ballet, went into competitive gymnastics for about 7 years. Turned into track and field. And then one day at 16, my friend said, hey, do you want to go with my mom? It's her birthday to go to Elaine Powers, which I don't know if people know that, but obviously Elaine Powers isn't around anymore. And I was like, what is that? Went with her and was ignited. There was a guest instructor that day, Joni Greggins. And oh my goodness, I was like, what is this? The energy, the community, the music, the choreography. It was just insane. I got like exhilarated and I was like, this is it. I've got to do this for my life. And the rest is history.
Like, goodness.
When you're passionate about something, it just oozes out of your body and you just continue to do it and morph it into this, morph it into that. When you're passionate about something, it just moves you and it's effortless. And, we were mentioning earlier, I would do this for free. I just love doing this so much that there is no amount of money that can really take me to what I've done with my career. I would, like I said, we all need to make money in this world. I understand that, but I would literally do what I do for free. I love it that much.
Well, it shows, Cathe, your passion and your love for your students and your love for helping people lead a healthier life shows in everything that you do. How did you go from I'm taking a class, I don't even know what it is, to then becoming an instructor?
Oh, wow. So you're talking about this class that I took when I was 16.
When you were 16.
So I just knew that I wanted to get involved. So I found out that just at that time, AFA, remember AFA was coming out.
AFA, I was AFA.
Yeah, maybe 1982-ish, somewhere in there. And then I ended up knowing that I loved fitness so much, kind of figured out, what do I have to do? Those princess shoes or whatever those shoes were out. Everybody was just all into that. Group fitness was like the hot ticket of that time.
Yeah.
And so I was realizing the class I just took was that. I did some homework, found out I needed to get certified. I went over to California to get certified with basic, the basic high low impact was huge back then.
Yeah.
So I did that, and step aerobics was just coming into the scene. So I had gotten certified with that too, but it was a little vague back then how they did the certification. Eventually it evolved to what it was, but initially it was just sort of like another entity of group fitness. So
Okay.
I ended up just getting certified, went teaching. I had graduated with a communications degree, but was not interested in that at all. I just was like, where's the gym? Where's the gym? And so when I went to college, I walked to find a gym, and then I was like, I want to teach. So I taught for them. Then that just was like, I just felt unsettled. I was like,
Yeah.
I need something more from this. So at one point, I moved back to North Jersey from South Jersey, where I was teaching during my degree. I left after I graduated for a very brief amount of time and was a little depressed. And one of my friends, actually my sister, said, come with me to this fitness studio. This guy is all vibrant, and his name was Keith Byard. I went there. He's still all active too. I
Yeah.
went to his class, and he woke up all that stuff that I had felt from
Mhm.
that first class I went to when I was 16. So I was like, you know what? I have to do this. He's like, come with me. I work at Carnegie Hall, Ron C57. I went with him. I was like, this is it. I've got to do this. And the funny thing is like I said, step aerobics was just coming into play. So this is when idea was just putting it out there. You'd walk by in the hallways and you'd see them setting up 150 steps for a session. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm already teaching that sort of in Carnegie Hall,
Yeah.
but it was creative movement. And it was just
Okay.
a very small class, probably 10 to 12 people in there would be too tight. And there were
Okay.
14-inch and 16-inch benches along the wall,
Okay.
in the middle of the floor, a few hand weights, and basically it was creative movement. And you had to each day not go in there with an agenda, and you had to just create off the fly.
Ooh,
And
I
I
like
loved
that.
that challenge. Yeah, I really loved that challenge. And instead of music being beats per minute, it
Yeah.
was coded with colors. And like the red was the slower music, the green was medium, and the
Wow.
yellow was, yeah. So you'd pick the colors, pop in the music, create. And it was very cool concept.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
So
is
for
totally new to me. I've never heard of that.
Well, I never have since then, but
Okay.
I honestly think it was the right fit for me at the right time.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I've always been told well, let me back up. My dream doing all of this was like, oh my God, how I would love to have my own video or have my own TV show on fitness, because
Yeah.
Galad was in it at the time. And I was like, that would be so cool. So, you have these dreams as you're building yourself, and
Yeah.
you don't know if it's ever going to happen. So I was just so excited. I felt like friends were telling me, well, you have to have something different. You can't have what everyone else has done already. So by taking this class in Carnegie Hall and creating on the fly, I had
Yeah.
gotten creative elements plus step aerobics through Jen Miller, and
Yeah.
idea stuff was being introduced to the world. So I had a tendency to always be an advanced person, pretty tough. I didn't like come in with a real beginner with pink weights and that whole thing. I was always sort of getting in there pretty hard because I had a health club background. So you kind of were someone that worked out all the time, and we're a little bit past that. So I just merged the concept. I had a friend in the industry that Greg Twombly. We ended up I knew he was doing videos at the time. Since then I went in business for myself, but at the time I was like, I think I have an idea. I think I finally got that thing where you had to have something that was a little different.
Mm.
So I merged what the creative elements of things that came to me in Carnegie Hall with the traditional step aerobics the way we knew it,
Yeah.
and came out with my first video called Step in Motion.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I got my start. And then
Yeah.
from there I filmed that video, and then I went to an idea convention in 1991. Oh
Okay.
God, that's a crazy story, because you got the Reebok booths and the Nike booths and everybody all
Yeah.
flex. And here I come in with my little, you've probably been to a fitness convention, right? The booths are tiny. I had my little TV, which actually my display got lost. So I just had this little TV, and I jotted down on cardboard what I had. And like one person came, another person came. And before I knew it, I had the likes of the big boys out there coming to, it was
Who is this?
it's quite a view, like a lot of people coming around, and I was like, oh my God, look at, ooh, they're here too. And so I felt like I
Yeah.
had something. Needless to say, that one sold out. Kind of put me on the map for fitness.
Okay.
So I got my start sort of more with step aerobics than the other
Okay.
thing,
I
you
love
know.
that. I love that. Yeah. And I feel like your time, it's funny. It's actually really ironic. We were just talking in my, I like to, I don't think my students care as much as I do, but I love to give them fitness history. And the other day I was talking about Jen Miller and I was talking about the milk crates and why I was intrigued by step but then I was in high school. I don't know how I saw it. I don't know what I saw it on, but anyway, I loved that the girls were more athletic. They were not, they were not like, they didn't look like dancers like most people that you saw in the group fitness space. They look like athletes.
Right.
But I feel like you were before Jen Miller because your step video came out in 1989 and the Reebok
Right.
video came out in the 90s, I thought.
Yeah. Gosh, going back that far, it gets gray after a while. You're trying to, I do believe mine might have been released beforehand,
Yeah.
and it was considerably more advanced with weights and concepts.
Choreography and
Right.
okay.
So, where I think when Jen Miller launched, it was teaching very basic understanding how to link block choreography,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And mine kind of just was, you do some step aerobics, you do a little bit of this, a little bit of weights, and a
Yeah.
little bit sort of like a total body workout all in one.
Okay.
Kind of like
Okay.
what I was used to teaching in Carnegie Hall, mixed with,
Yeah.
I think I had a little bit of choreography in there linked, but it was more or less a total package of a total
Yeah.
body workout in there.
Okay, so that at that point, after you made your video, you made a name for yourself very quickly. I mean, anyone that was doing fitness at home knew who you were. That's for sure. So, what was the next step after that? What was your next thing?
Well, it's kind of bizarre because I started out feeling like, I got labeled the instructor's instructor there for a while. And I did go
Hmm.
on the circuit very early on, travel a little bit and do those for instructors with
Okay.
CEC, continuing
Yeah.
education credits and stuff. But then I got married, had kids, and I was like, you know what? I have to just stay more local.
Right.
And there was no internet at the time. So it was
Yeah.
kind of hard. But I did what I needed to do at that time that was best for me.
Hmm.
And then it was, I always said to myself though, gosh, it would just be so, I mean, I continued to do videos and whatever, but to just get to that next level, I always had that dream if I could only have my own TV show or
Hmm.
whatever. And at the time, AOL, Time Warner were the big, names. And um, lo and behold, they actually called. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, are you kidding me? Like shaking in my boots. But they did call and they had a chapter under, called Time Life Video,
Okay.
which they owned that. So Time Life Video is actually who I worked directly with. And they had a team on there and they were like, hey, we're looking to do a new infomercial and you are the name that keeps coming up. Originally we were looking for someone with more of a celebrity name, but
Hmm.
every time we would go to those people, they would talk about you. And we thought, well, let's just go to you.
Oh,
Here's the hard part. As much as I wanted to be that, the big next person, I am true to who I am. And they were trying to put those, and I'm not saying pink dumbbells to be a
yeah.
disrespect
No.
to anyone that uses them. We all are at different
Mhm.
places in our fitness career. But they had already known that I was promoted as beyond using that and
Yep.
using much more weight. So I was like, why would I go backwards and compromise what I had built up to this point?
Hmm.
And then they wanted, oh, you use too much equipment in your workouts. Oh, you don't have a product that we could sell along with it. And they kept trying to morph me and make me something I wasn't. And I
Hmm.
started to get very uncomfortable inside.
Mm.
And I thought, all I've created my whole life here, I'm not selling out. Well,
Yeah.
I just kind of ended negotiations. It was not really that I didn't end it. I didn't say, that's it, we're done.
Right.
Just didn't continue to sound excited and I didn't continue with the phone calls. It was just sort of like, this isn't working out type thing. It looks like they're looking for someone else. And so it got quiet there for a while. About a month later, they called back and they're like, we tried, we're going to this, that. And, I guess I don't know what they did behind the scenes, but they came back to me and they said, you know what? We gave it some thought. You be you. We're going to
Aw,
just let you be you. And I was like,
makes me wanna
really?
cry.
So once they said that, we went into we of course some planning has to go into it. So since
Right.
step was to be my thing, we came up with a concept called vertical training, and we were going to build the whole program around that. And it was contracts ready to be signed, and all of a sudden I get a phone call that the deal is now null and void because Time Warner, AOL Time Warner, sold Time Life Video off, and so anything that was under that umbrella was.
Right.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then, of course,
Oh,
maybe it was meant to be because I had my reservations anyway,
yeah.
that kind of thing. Well, that whole team of Time Life Video, they all obviously, their jobs and things were all over the place because when those things happen, people get redistributed or laid off or whatever. But the team that I had worked with for like a year, I grew very comfortable with them, and they just felt so bad about how all that planning just sort of went out the window.
Mm.
So some talks were made behind the scenes, and they gave me a call and they said, you know what? We'd like to at least take your talent somewhere. We'd like to make good on this offer somehow. So they said, how about we take you over to Discovery Channel? And that's where FitTV came in.
That's
That
what I
show,
used to watch.
yeah,
Binge watching.
yes. So I was so excited. I was like, in essence, I do sort of have my own show,
Absolutely. What do you
yeah,
mean in
I had
essence?
my
All
own
those dreams
hour on the
came
show.
true. All those dreams came true.
Yeah,
You weren't afraid to dream big. And some of those things you were dreaming about didn't even exist, really. That's
right.
why,
Well, that's what I tell a lot of people. If you go to career counseling when you're not
yeah,
sure what you want to do, you flip through pages. What does
yeah.
that look like? My career was never that. It was just sort of like, go to college, get a communications degree with a sidekick of fitness that I loved more than my communications degree,
Mhm.
and kept finding myself drawn to fitness. Forget the homework, forget the papers. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah,
Where's our gym class?
I love
So I
that.
knew that, if you are passionate that way, you'll find a way to make it lucrative.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be that you're like the richest person or you made it big or whatever. You just have to be fulfilled inside and feel like I can make a living doing this. I can be comfortable and I can share my passion with
yeah.
others. That's kind of what it came down to for me.
Well, I think what you do now is incredible. I mean, I don't want to fast forward too much, but what you do now is incredibly unique, Cathe. I don't know anybody that does anything like what you do. And what I know about your story is it sounds like it was really organic, how it kind of came to be. And you
Yes.
were really doing it to meet the needs of the people that you wanted to serve. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that and just how Cathe.com came to be and how that whole Cathlete world came to be.
Well, like I said, in the early days, there was no internet. So you pretty much just had to word of mouth and whatever. But then all of a sudden, I got a phone call one day, and this girl was asking if something about workout videos, this and that. And I was like, how did she hear about me? And she's like, she's on the internet because internet just started coming out.
Yes.
So we were like on the internet. So I'm typing in fitness, this, that. I'm not even
Yeah.
thinking to type in my name. So I typed in my name, and the workouts are coming up. And I'm like, oh, wow. Ooh, this is great. Now I can really bypass all those people that were holding me back.
Yes.
I wasn't a celebrity. I wasn't this, that. I could market myself.
Yes.
Started a website, and the rest is history as far as that's concerned. And then it worked into this. We started Cathe.com.
Yeah.
The next time I got a phone call was from a group of women. Back in the day, they were called Video Fitness, and I believe the forum is still active to this day. That was sort of an organic forum too, where they would write in on all aspects of fitness. But at one point, some of the members of that group had called up to ask if I would mind if a group of them just came to do a class with me. They were all from different parts of the country,
Mhm.
kind of do these road trips together. I was like, sure. And I didn't really know what to expect or whatever, but I guess about like 12 of them came, and they just came, and I did a workout with them. And then, we went to get something to eat after. It went really well. So then the next year they did it again, and it kept multiplying to like 50 people. And I was like, whoa, it's getting too big where I can't do this all the time. But I was starting to see, it was nice to do that for them, but two things were happening. One was I was feeling like I wanted, it's in my location. I wanted to project what I'm feeling inside
Mhm.
rather than bring others in and work on their agenda, holding an event for them. It was feeling like a little backwards. On top of that, though, we were also getting ready to move from our middle gym. So we had three gyms. One started out when I was in college, very little. Then down the road, we went to a middle gym. And then after that, we went to the facility we're in now, which is
Okay.
a much bigger facility, which houses the studio, the filming studio in it.
Right.
So we were just getting ready to move to that gym. And that was like 21 or 22 years ago. And so I just said, you know what? Let's just start clean bill. We're going to just do our own road trips, market them our own way, and we will put out the word and market. Then people want to sign up, they can. And it turned into this whole thing where we created a weekend out of it. We had sometimes we would have lectures on nutrition, whatever. It's ebbs and flows. Over the years, it's changed. And, you'd have a
Okay.
group fitness party in there. They'd have like 7 classes, healthy foods catered, a dinner party at night where everyone could get to know each other. And so when all that happened, that's where the term Cathlete came.
Okay.
I didn't create it. Like,
Yeah.
probably heard the story of someone just seeing a shirt that said athlete and I thought it said Cathlete. And I was like, so we coined the
I
phrase
love
that
that.
Cathlete is if you work out, there are athletes out there, but if you work out with Cathe, you're a Cathlete. And so that whole thing just came to be. So right now, it's like this is something that's near and dear to me too, because the people in the gym never knew I did this on the outside. So the school buses would pull up, because we'd have about 106 people come to the gym, and the buses would unload and they would pick them up from their hotels and unload in the gym. And gym members be like, what is going on here? What are all these people walking in here for? Cathe's having a road trip. Cathe? Our Cathe? What is she doing that for? Like they
That's
just
so funny. You had two separate worlds. You had your roadshow people, or you had your virtual people, and then you
right,
had your gym people,
right,
and it wasn't
right,
combined.
right. It was totally separate for
Oh,
so many years.
interesting.
So many people didn't even know I did DVDs. Oh, well, I say DVDs now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was
Right.
VHS. So, and the funny thing is my gym people were how I sort of I would come up with choreography.
Right.
I'd read the room. If the room was
Yep.
like going, oh, too many mistakes, I'm not worth it. Throw that to the side.
Right.
Or feedback you get after class. People, oh, I really loved when you did that. If you heard that enough time, you're like, okay, that's video content,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Sort of like they were like my lab rats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I, would start to do the videos, and once the road trips happened, the two worlds collided. And then of course, well before the pandemic, we got the idea to have Cathe live, and we created the room where, you can subscribe. And then they got to know the gym members. So then when the road trip started happening after that, the people who came in for the road trip,
I
which
love
were
that.
athletes too,
Yeah.
they came a day early so that they could do live, because if you did live, it's not only filmed live, but it's documented and in the archive library, so they could always go home and say, that's me, I was in episode 345, check me out, you know what I
Oh my
mean?
gosh.
So they would come early and they got to meet the cast, which were gym.
Yeah.
So it's just been like the whole world just came together. The two worlds collided. And now that with Facebook and everything, Instagram and everything, they
Yeah.
can see each other and they do conversing behind the scenes. But it's just something I would never have seen coming. And it's just been a beautiful thing. It really is. And
It's so
whether,
unique.
yeah, whether it's the Cathlete world or the gym world, to me, they're all Cathletes now.
Right.
And it's just been a beautiful community that's just been built on kindness, empowerment, support, love. Like everybody is welcome. There
Yeah.
is no matter what age, what
Yep.
ethnicity, what shape, size, nothing. We don't judge, we welcome. And the main goal is to have fun, love one another, and just get fit, get healthy, move, just
Yeah.
move. You don't have to
Yeah.
move like an athlete. You just move and have fun.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Cathe, one thing that I also think is unique about you, that I love about you, is you are so diverse in what you teach. I've never seen anyone that teaches so many different modalities so well. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
kickboxing, cycling, you've got your whole bar apparatus that I've seen. You do heavy weights, you do it all. So sometimes people be like, "Oh, don't, that's you should specialize." But I love that you do it all. And I think that especially since you have your people and you don't want them to just do one thing, you want them to diversify. I think that is just a huge positive. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Is that just what you enjoy or?
Well, I've always told people, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Mhm.
And if you just stay in do one thing over and over again, it becomes not even challenging anymore. Then we
Yep.
get bored and whatever. So we need to stay stimulated. We need to stay motivated. And it doesn't have to be this huge change where you go, oh, today we're going to scramble it all around and blah, blah, blah. And then people
Right.
come are like, what? So I like to just take a small portion of things and tweak it a little bit so they don't know where you're going with it. And they're like, oh, and you'll see the people that fall into this is what she usually does. And then you don't do that. And they're like caught and embarrassed. They're
I
like, oh,
love
I
it.
thought you were gonna do that. So it's like you have to pay attention. But I'm just joking with you on that. But people are funny
Yeah.
how creatures of habit at the same time, but you do have to keep them stimulated and interested. And the small changes lead to big changes. So
Mm.
just very small steps. So whether the category is kickbox or bar or whatever we're doing, I'll have a day designated for that. And then they
Okay.
kind of like each day there might be a different thing. But within that, there could be a form of hit thrown into it. There could be a form of endurance training, or we use different equipment, or do some of the equipment and change this to that. And I've seen you do that too with your
Yeah.
group that you have, which I think when I saw what you do, I'm like a girl after my own heart. Like we are very, very similar. And I love that. When I look at you, I get so excited to see someone, and you're very authentic too. And you teach from your heart. And
Yeah.
I love it that about you as
Yeah. Well, that means so much coming from you, Cathe.
well.
And I do love teaching and I love helping my students take it to the next level. And everything that you said, as you were saying those things, like the small changes over time and the change equals change, those are all our sayings in our community too. What would you say? What do you love most about teaching? I know there's so much that you've already mentioned, but what would you say your true favorite thing about actually teaching people, whether it be in person or live or via the live stream? What would you say you love most about it?
What I love is honestly, it's never about me. I know I'm standing up there and I'm supposed to be the inspiration to them or the motivator or the catalyst that makes it all happen, but I really don't see it about me. Every day that I wake up, I'm so excited to be able to gift them.
Yeah.
So I pray for my energy and my
Mm,
whatever to project it onto them and bring out the best in them.
mm,
So every day that I teach, my goal is to turn around someone who maybe had a negative day into a
yeah.
positive, or someone who is just coming to say, it's Wednesday, this is my workout day, but infect them with energy, empower them, say something in that class, do something in that class,
Mm,
create something in that class that just makes them go, wow, I am so glad I came today.
mm,
They go on with their day with so much different attitude, mental clarity, physical and fulfillment.
mhm.
There's just you can't trade that for anything in the world. And I feel like that's been my gift from the beginning. It's never been about me. It's been about community. We're in this together. Let's
Yep.
do it together.
Yeah. I think you just said something really important. And I heard you say this on another podcast as well. But you have to take care of you and not that's one of the things that I think I'm so impressed by. I remember I taught in Richmond and I had been teaching at that point for maybe 15 years. And one of my best friends, who I thought was like the best instructor, came to visit me and she's like, I can't believe you're still teaching. Aren't you sick of it? Or something like along those lines. It wasn't, are you sick of it? Or like, I'm surprised you haven't outgrown it yet. And I was so insulted. And I was like, no, I'm like, it lights me up. It feeds me.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I want to tell the next generation of instructors and coaches and fitness professionals is you can't, if you don't refill and recharge and take care of you and stay educated and stay inspired, you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to be able to serve. So you just said it a little glimpse of like, you pray for that, you're going to have the energy to give out. And sometimes that takes work.
Right.
Sometimes it feels selfish. Like sometimes I feel like, I get a deep tissue massage very regularly and I do a lot of self-care. but it helps me stay in the game and it helps me stay lit up. And I'm also telling people, you need to take care of yourself. Like you need to prioritize yourself. So if I'm not showing it and doing it, I'm not really giving that message. And I
Yeah,
heard you say something similar. Like if you're feeling a little burnout, because you really teach almost every day, which
right.
is uncommon for people that,
Yeah.
at this point.
I've been a little better trying to take a couple of days off a week or whatever, but then it's like then I'm creating something and testing things out. So
Yeah.
it's not really a full day off, but it really, really is important to walk the walk. And
Yeah.
even on, and deviating from that slightly, I would always find that it'd be a little frustrated seeing going to another class somewhere where a person was putting together choreography that I felt nearly impossible, but they were dishing it out and not doing it themselves. And I
Mm.
think one of the gifts that is that, some people go, oh, it's not your workout. You shouldn't be doing it. Well, I understand that element to a degree too, but I do think it's very important that you are walking the walk with them,
Mm.
leading
Yep.
by example, and knowing that what you're putting out is doable, right?
Right.
You might be putting out something that's completely incredibly intense on the wrist. And it's like, if you were down here doing this, you would know that this is killing our wrist, right? So it's like you feel it and you change course as needed with whatever you're putting out there to make it a balanced, fulfilling workout that's safe and effective.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're super creative. And that is in your original, I think creative and original maybe are the same, but I don't think that you teach fitness in a traditional way. And I think that's because you've stayed true to you. But here's the thing. You're still doing it, right? I mean, that's the difference. There's some, I'll call them modality snobs, people that are like, you need to train this. They would look at maybe some of the stuff that we do and say, that's not strength or that's not. I'm like, oh, it's not? I'm pretty strong. Like, are you kidding? Like, and I see someone like you and I realize that like what you do that's so unique just from a fitness perspective is you really hit muscles from different directions. You kind of confuse the muscles. You'll put two modalities together and it might not be traditional, but it's effective, right? And you know it because you're doing it and you're seeing it and you're seeing your students get stronger and you're seeing them get their stamina up and you're seeing them stay with you for decades because you're so innovative. They're not sick of you, right? If you came in and you did this, well, some people like to do the same thing over and over, but most people would at some point be like, oh, I got to move on. I've done Cathe for enough. I got to move on, but they don't need to move on because you're constantly innovating and moving on. Can you tell? I know my friend Meg, she purchased I think it was your Restore program. It was one of your most recent programs. Do you know?
Right.
Can you
Yeah,
talk?
the lift, move, and restore.
Yes, Lift, Move, and Restore.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so I'd always come from a really hardcore advanced background. And then over the years, obviously, the concept of self care came in, backing off, too much cortisol in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was just being kinder. And not to mention, I started this at 16 and I'm now 60. It's time for me to
Never
like
know it.
can't go for the gold all the time. Oh, you're kind. Thank you. But I mean, like, you can't like go for it and go for it. You need a little more recovery. And that's one thing
Right.
I've learned as the ages go by, you benefit more from longer warm-ups, more stretching, more mobility. So I was like, it's time my audience too. Like you said, people have been with me 30 years and
Mhm.
since the day I started. I have still women in my class. In fact, they were in my class this morning that started with my first college workout when I came out of teaching at 16 and I went to college and then I found the gym there and started. They were in my first class. 4 of them were in that class today.
Which also speaks to your workout because the longevity for them, people don't make, like, if you're doing one modality, you don't make it 3 decades. Your body gives out. But because
Right.
of the style of training that you do, which is so diverse, you're allowing people to have such a long career in fitness. That's one of the things I admire most. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Now I'm trying to think. What were we? I got
You were
myself
saying
off.
you were talking about how today you had 4 people that had started off when you were 16, when you were just
Right.
starting out. Had they been with you for so long?
Right. But what was the point we were going? What was the original? Are we both having a moment?
I think we are. I thought it was just the longevity that your students have been with you for so many decades, that they had been with you for so long, which is
Yeah.
amazing, which is
Yeah.
truly amazing. I mean,
So that's right. I'm sorry. We were talking about lift, move, and restore.
oh yeah,
I knew it would come back to me. Okay, so after all this time, I was like, as our group is getting up there with me, I'm still getting some younger ones and older ones and whatever. And we all fall in this repertoire of 20 something to, there is no limit really.
Yeah.
It's limitless lately. You're seeing
Mhm.
that even pushed more. But
Yep.
I was like, let me come up with a concept that appeals to what we can all benefit from today. And that was lift, move, and restore. And that original one incorporated functional workouts,
Mhm.
mimicking movements that keep us healthy for everyday activities. So we all know a functional movement. If you're doing an overhead press, it simulates putting something overhead in the cabinet. If you're squatting down, we squat down for nearly half the things we do in life. So these are all functional movements put in a workout so that we're training for life.
Yeah.
And so there was a total body, an upper body, a lower body for that. And then I did a Pilates fusion. I called them all fusion because I wanted to morph other concepts in with them. So I had like a Pilates fusion, a core fusion, yoga fusion, and I can't remember them all, but there was 7 or 8 workouts total. So
Okay.
that went over really, really well. That for this time around now, I'm doing lift, move, and restore elevated. So for those people that like always said your workouts are too hard, they would start with that one. Now
Mhm.
this one is going to bring in, change it up a little. I'm not going to have the exact same workouts, but there will be very similar qualities in them with a little more focus on mobility, balance, and of course the functional movement. Tweaking it, making it a little heavier weight, a little
Okay.
more balance involved. And so it's basically you're training for the game of life, just make
Yeah.
sure you stay in the game in
Which
the
is
most healthy, positive way you can.
Yeah, which is so, so, so important. And making it accessible for people, being that they can do it from home. I mean, that's something that they can purchase and do either live or on their own, do the programming on their own. You're so ahead. I mean, I don't know anybody else that was doing what you were doing so early on and doing it so well, like as far as programming workouts and just really making it so people anywhere could have really high quality fitness instruction. I just think that that is really valuable. As someone that's been in the industry for so long, I do see certain things being inaccessible to some people, right? It's not like they're not going to be able to do, some people aren't going to be able to pay $30 a class or for, whatever it is. So it's just nice to know that, hey, there's fitness professionals that are the best that you can have in your home, right? And you're just so ahead of your time.
That was helpful during the pandemic as well, where, it's funny. My perspective on the pandemic seems to be so much different than the other instructors who were like, wait, because I had already had that world. I had a world of teaching in the gym and a world of already putting it on live.
Yeah,
So my live audience already had home gyms and they were established. So were the other people that were scrambling, trying to go on Amazon. You couldn't find equipment anymore,
right,
or like calling the gym, can we rent your bikes? It was just like everybody was like, where can I find something to work out with? We were like, oh, okay, well, our people that are subscribers were like, this is easy for me. I already have a home gym. So there was no hiccup in their lifestyle. So what we did was try to find ones that were minimal equipment and just air them, just to be a good Samaritan. I mean, it was a stressful time and we wanted to
right.
be able to give back to the community and to people around the world struggling. So we opened up probably 17 different workouts over a course of 4 weeks. We'd pick 17 different ones from the library because the library has over 500 in it now. I do it once a week on
Wow.
Thursday. So we would take like 17 workouts for that week or whatever, let them free to the world. You could do whatever workout. We put it on a schedule as if it was like Monday, you get this, that, and scrambled it around. And then when the pandemic seemed like people were coming out of it, we lifted
Hmm.
that back to subscription.
Wow. Yeah.
It
That's
was just something to give back because I
yeah.
mean, we all were like, but now I'll see different people. I'm not even versed in Zoom, teaching on Zoom or whatever. That's just not something I've had to do. So it's not that I couldn't do it, but I don't really see that being something that I need to do because I have the classroom experience where we do
Right.
live.
Well,
you
you have
know?
a whole film crew. You have a much more professional setup than Zoom. You have a very
Yeah,
professional setup. But one of the things that you do that I also think is unique is you have your own branded equipment where you
yeah,
can direct people. And I've heard you be very, and you're not salesy about it at all. Like or you can use a chair, or you
yeah,
can
right.
use, and you don't have to use my way. But it is nice. I think people like that. I think one of the things that you're so good at is building community. And that's why people want, your people call themselves cathletes because they feel like they're part of you. They're part of something bigger than themselves, which is what people really need. And I think having the specific equipment or the branded socks that makes them like, they like that. People like things,
Yeah,
right? They like to have
yeah,
toys. They like to have
right.
things. So I think that is, and I remember that's another thing that just another positive about you, Cathe. It was, I think, during the pandemic, and I don't even know. I know you. You don't know me. I think we have a mutual friend. I know we have a mutual friend, Greg Justice.
Yeah,
And I saw like you comment on something at Greg's. I'm like, how does he know her? And I was like trying to like figure it all out. And then I remember even like you commented on something on my Instagram, and I said to my community, I'm like, you guys don't understand like how big of a deal that is to me. Like you don't understand. Like they didn't,
it's sweet.
it's just like my industry, right?
Well, when I saw that you, with Greg Justice, you were doing something where you were on the endless rope
Yeah.
and he was encouraging you and whatever, and I was like, oh, I have to find out who Kelly is.
Oh, that's how it happened. Oh, okay.
For me, and
Yeah.
I just loved, and then I saw you got an award through Tom Durkin's program and stuff, and so that's all great, empowering stuff, and staying current with the industry. And I just love, of course, I love that we all need those accolades in our lives, because we've worked hard and we've earned them. But then I started seeing your clips and the things you do, and how you'll just share your recipes and this and that, and I was just like, we are very, very similar in our delivery, in our community, in our hearts of what we
Yeah.
want to do for our people, and very authentic. And I really, really enjoy you very much. And I love that you're carrying the torch and continuing to send the message. And, there's just room for everyone in this world.
Absolutely. Well,
Spread love.
that was it. You wrote back this long, I asked you about equipment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a generous soul. Like, instead of just being like, oh, it would be, you gave me this long explanation. I'm like, she's so kind. And then the other time that I saw you being kind, this was years ago. I met you at an Idea Fitness conference a while back, and Lelaine was there at that one. But then most recent, the last time I was there, I think it was last year, when the jumping jack contest.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I saw you with Elaine, and I mean, she doesn't need any help by any means. I mean, she's 98 years old, and she's an incredible. We're talking about Jack LaLane's wife, Elaine LaLane, and you were just so kind to her, following her, making sure, and just I was like, she's just a good person. I'm like, I can just tell she's just a good person. But I do want to, now that I mentioned jumping jacks, I do want to say one thing that I heard you say before that really spoke to me too, Cathe, because our backgrounds are similar. I went to college for communications, and when you said that your dad was like, I didn't pay for you to go to college so you could do jumping jacks. That sounded exactly like something my dad would say. I was
Yeah.
cracking up at that. As you created a career and obviously an empire really in this industry, what did your dad have to say after that?
Well, he was extremely proud, and my
Yeah.
mom would he's passed, bless his soul, but my mom would say to me, that he'd carry around articles, whatever was written, anything that I did, any news clip I was on, he'd record it, and he would go to his friends and be like, "This is my daughter." Just sweet
Yeah.
the way our parents are when,
That that is so sweet. I love that. I love that. I can totally see you being the apple of his eye. I love that. Cathe, just am so appreciative of your time. I want to be respectful of it. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on this podcast, to share your story. The name of this podcast is called Start Before You're Ready. And just in studying you, I feel like there's so many things in your life that you did. You didn't overthink it. You took action. I'd love for you to give our audience maybe an example of that you think might resonate with them.
just to start something
To
before you're
start
ready.
before you're ready. That's the name. Start before you're ready, meaning like you don't need to lose 5 pounds to start a fitness program or whatever it is. The things that we hear people say.
Right. And It is important though to say start with small steps, but I think a lot of people create noise in their mind and they're like, I can't because of this, or I'll start tomorrow, I'll do this or whatever. Or they think they need to be a certain fitness level before they begin or step
Mm,
into community. Instead of having all that clutter in your brain and all these reasons to not do something, just do it. Just step in there. You will be surprised, especially if they step into your community there or step into my community, how welcoming and life changing it is to just take that small risk and trust.
mm,
Trust that people have good, kind hearts.
mm.
And I think we're built as people to want to help others, to
Yeah.
see others flourish and grow.
Yeah.
And everybody that's in that community that's been in that door, they had their first day too. They know that feeling of what it's like to walk in, and they will shower you with kindness and carry you every step of the way.
Yeah.
And I think you'll leave that moment feeling so connected and so like what just happened here in a state of euphoric. You'll just be so energized that you'll be like, I'm going back tomorrow. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad I took that step today.
Hmm.
So don't waste your life waiting to be
Years.
perfect. Just do
Yep.
it. Do it right now and just sign up somewhere, go do it. Even if it's just something, if you don't want to step in and you just are saying, I need to start somewhere, just throw on some shoes, go for a walk, and
Yep.
then clear your mind.
Yep.
Whether it be self care mentally, physically, just make one small change today, even if it's a minute, 5 minutes, 10
Yep.
minutes. If you commit to yourself, it'll go places and it'll just grow from there.
I love that. I love that. That's such great advice. And I think that that's exactly what so many people, it might not even be in fitness, but so many people need to hear is just to just believe in yourself and to start and to not overthink it. So I think that's a really
Right.
important message. Well, you are an incredible example for humans, for women, for authenticity, for passion, following your heart, being an innovator, being true to yourself. I just admire all those qualities so much, Cathe, and I'm so grateful that you came on and talked to me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was such a blessing to be on and share time with you and your audience as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.